Spurs 2, Man City 2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in a bizarre game that can only be described as a game of two halves. Now, let's face it, if it wasn't for the heroic performances of players like SOLANKE, Xavi Simons and a couple of others, we would have been consigned to yet another miserable home defeat. And it's all down to Thomas Frank and his first half tactical disaster class and this formation that he set us up with that absolutely did not work one little bit. I mean, before we talk about the performances of Solanke and the others in the second half, which was truly heroic, we have to talk about the manager and try to get inside his mindset and understand why he thinks setting up the way he did is going to be effective against teams like Man City. Now, we're set up today in a kind of almost a 5-2-3 formation. Sort of three centre-backs, two wing-backs, two sort of sitting midfielders, and then Xavi, Kolo Muani, Solanke up front. Now, we set up exactly the same against Arsenal, albeit with different personnel. I think the sitting midfielders that day were João Palhinha and Bentancur, if I remember correctly. And this is what I can't understand. And this is why I'm trying, really trying hard to get inside the mind of Thomas Frank and his coaching staff. When they look at the game, they know we're playing Man City and they're preparing for the match. And they think, right, we're up against three of the best midfield players in the Premier League. Probably three of the best midfield players in Europe. And we're going to stick two blokes in there. We're going to stick two in there. They'll be fine. The attacking threat will come from the wing backs. They'll get it into the front players. We'll be fine. We'll absorb the pressure. We'll be fine. I mean, the thing is, when you're playing against teams like Man City, especially this current Man City, their strength lies in attack. Their strength lies in midfield. Like I say, they've got three of the best midfielders in the Premier League operating in that central area. Their weakness is at the back. The last thing you want to do is invite their attackers, invite their midfielders onto you and then try and counter from there. It's the last thing you want to do. You want to get on the front foot and attack their weakness, attack their defence. They've got Kusanov at the back, a guy who's got potential, but let's face it, he's scared of his own shadow. He's not sure of himself on the ball. He's not sure positionally. They've got Gay, who's come into the team. He's a new player. Yes, he's a very good player, although I don't buy into the whole Mark Gay myth that he's one of the best defenders in Europe, because he's not. He's very good, but he's a new player in the team. He's adjusting to his new surroundings, adjusting to his teammates. They've got a centre midfielder playing right back. They have all season, Mateus Nunes. To me, right, now tell me if I'm fucking going mad or something here, but when I look at Man City and how they're setting up currently with the players they've got available to them, the last thing that I would set my team up to do would be to absorb that pressure. My plan would be to attack that back line, get on the front foot, even a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3. Yes, you're going to come under pressure. You're up against one of the best teams in Europe. Like I say, they've got great wide players. They've got great midfield players. But attack them, get at them. And that's exactly what we've done in the second half. And fair enough, okay, Frank recognised that. Okay, he changed the formation for the second half. He brought on Papsar, Romero went off, beefed up the midfield. And hey presto, we're on the front foot for the second half. We've got attacking threat. We're actually playing in the Man City half. In that first half, I mean, again, the tactical setup with the three centre-halves and wanting to get your attacking play coming from wide areas, from the wing-backs, right? The problem is that when you do attack and you go forward and your wing-backs go high and you've got your three at the back, Man City are playing Haaland, Semenyo, Cherki. When that ball gets turned over and goes towards the front man, goes towards Haaland, straight away they're 3-on-3. You've got Semenyo 1-on-1 with a makeshift centre-half in João Palhinha. You've got Cherki 1-on-1 with a defender that's been out of an ACL for however how long, and is a bit rusty and isn't the quickest guy. You've got Haaland up against Romero. Each player 1-on-1 with these incredible attacking players. It's absolute madness. How does Thomas Frank and his coaching staff come to the conclusion that that's how you play against a team like Man City? It's absolute madness. And this is my problem with Thomas Frank. It says what I've thought all along. He's risk averse. He doesn't like to take chances. He likes to play the percentages. He likes to have that, what he thinks is that kind of security with five at the back. Now, numbers don't matter. That numbers don't really matter. When you look at the tactical matchup, they don't matter because of exactly what I've just said. If we do go forward, the few times we did manage to venture forward in the first half, when that ball got turned over, they've got wide men high up the pitch. They've got Erling Haaland. The ball goes into those three. They're 1-on-1 with our defenders. It's madness. If you remember, he set up exactly the same way against Arsenal. I think he had that day Polina and Bentancur, I'm pretty sure, as the two in midfield up against the midfield three of Declan Rice, Martin Zubimendi and Eza. Three of the best players in Europe in those positions. How do you think those two guys are going to cope with those three guys? They're going to control the game. And we all know that games are won and lost in midfield, pretty much. If you don't control the midfield, it's very unlikely you're going to win the game. Now, like I said, he did recognise that. Maybe he didn't. Romero went off. We still don't know what Romero went off for, whether it was injury, whether he kicked off in the dressing room. I mean, I wouldn't blame him if he did, because the first half performance was fucking turgid. Couldn't put a pass together. I think Man City had 80% possession. We weren't threatening their goal. It was absolutely turgid. But then when Pape Sarr came on, we went to three in midfield, back to our sort of usual formation. We done all right, and like I say, we come back from 2-0 down, and this is where we got to get into the performances of Solanke, Xavi Simons. I must admit, I thought in the second half, Archie Gray, poor old Archie Gray, the 18 or 19-year-old kid who's played nearly every position under the sun, playing right back, I thought they were absolutely superb in the second half. Xavi, we'll start with Xavi. All of a sudden, he looks a bit fitter, a bit quicker, a bit sharper, a bit stronger. He's got more confidence. He's taking the ball. I wish he would shoot more. A lot of the times, the ball comes to him on the edge of the box and he controls it, touch, and looks at the pass. I wish he would just bang it first time or just take a touch and bang it. But anyway, his performance was outstanding in the second half. He's pulling the strings, fighting for every ball, making things happen. Archie Gray right back, like I say, all of a sudden he kind of got hold of Semenyo. He's playing in a more recognisable formation to what he's used to, sort of thing. That back five is very new to the team, although it's looked good in certain games, against lesser opposition. When you're up against the big boys, familiarity is key, really, in those patterns of play. But and then Solanke, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, his first goal was beautiful. The way he just shrugged off Kusanov, showed his strength in the box. Nice little Cruyff turn. I thought it could have been a foul on Gay, if I'm being honest, because Gay stuck his leg in to win the ball and Solanke sort of kicked through him to knock it in, but fuck it, we'll take it, won't we? And then the second goal was a thing of pure beauty, wasn't it? Conor Gallagher in the first half, I don't think he had a touch of the ball. He's running around like a headless chicken, trying to bring energy to the performance, trying to put tackles in, but they were just knocking it around him, especially when you've got a player like Rodri at the base of the midfield. You go and close him down, he just goes tap, 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 spray, pass forward. It was a masterclass. But when the numbers were matched up in the second half, Conor Gallagher came into it a bit more, showed his energy. I still don't think he's that high on quality, but he does bring energy, brings fight. Crossed into the box, and Solanke with a beautiful little scorpion flick, top bins. Donnarumma nearly got there, but it was a thing of beauty, that goal. And let me tell you, if we're gonna do anything this season, if we're gonna survive this season, Solanke staying fit is an absolute must, because ever since he came back into the team, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, he's played 5 or 6 games now. He looks sharp, he looks strong, he looks fit. He's scoring goals straight away. He holds the ball up beautifully. I mean, thank God that Richarlison isn't playing centre forward at the moment, because that cunt can't trap a bag of cement. But Solanke looks really, really good. And like I say, the second half performance was brilliant today. And the problem is, I can't help but feel that the players are pulling out these performances in spite of the manager and not because of him. That first half performance was absolutely woeful. Like I say, it was exactly the same against Arsenal. The tactical setup was all wrong. Risk averse, not matching up the numbers properly, not thinking about what's going to happen when the ball gets turned over. Even to be fair to him, even Vicario was pretty good today. He made a couple of really good saves. So the boys deserve credit for the second half performance. And like I say, if we're going to do anything this season, if we're going to get any further in the Champions League and start to move up the table, we need to keep Solanke fit. Before I go, that's another thing I need to mention. What the fuck is going on with our injuries? This has been going on for a couple of years now, right? We've got injuries galore. We've got so many first team players in the treatment room, and they're all getting serious injuries as well. Kulusevski's out indefinitely. He's been out for months and months. We still don't know when he's coming back. I think you can pretty much write this entire season off. Maddison's out for the season with an ACL. Dragusin's had an ACL. Solanke's had a long-term injury. Van der Ven's out again now. You know, we need to start looking into this. Like, are the surfaces at the training ground a bit too hard? Are they working the players too much? Are they not doing their analysis properly when the players get into the old red zone? You know, and making sure that they stay injury-free? Are the physios doing their job properly? Are they stretching properly when they warm up? Are they warming up enough? We've got to start looking into this because the injuries are killing us. You know, don't get me wrong. Every team has injuries. Every team has injuries, and I understand that. But we get a lot of injuries and a lot of long-term bad injuries. And we need to address that. You know, even if all what I've just mentioned is right, and we're doing everything right with the warm-up, with the surfaces at the training ground, with the amount that the guys are running and the amount the guys are working in the gym, blah, blah, blah. The next step, you know, as part of our recruitment, is to look into a player's injury history and see, okay, has he had niggles? Has he had serious injuries? We need to start buying players that are more robust. You know, look at a player like Bruno Fernandes. Plays every single game. Haaland plays every game. You know, like, why can't we find these players? Just injuries galore. But, yeah, I mean, that's about it, really. But another thing I want to mention before I go. With the formation, again, with Frank's formation, that 5-2-3 that he's been trying to play. Now, it's been proven in the past. We've had world-class managers like Jose Mourinho, Conte. You know, they tried to play the same way. They tried to play by absorbing pressure, playing on the counter-attack. You know, in the entire Premier League era, we've never been good enough to do that. We've never been good enough to do that. We're a club that wants attacking football, that play better on the front foot. You know, Ange got it, right? I know that injuries scuppered him, and also the fact that he's a massive wanker as well. But when he first arrived at the club, he got it. The attacking football, letting players off the leash, attacking, going forward, pressing from the front. You know, all this absorbing pressure, counter-attacking and that. We haven't got the personnel to do it. Our players aren't good enough. They've never been good enough. If Conte can't get it to work, if Mourinho can't get it to work, then this wanker, Thomas Frank, definitely can't get it to work. Stay on the front foot. Let's hope today is a lesson to him. You know, we've done this a lot through the season. We've had a completely terrible first half and then come out, pick things up in the second half. And, you know, the commentators also always say, I don't know what Thomas Frank said to him at half time, but it's made a difference. It's nothing to do with Thomas Frank. It's nothing to do with Thomas Frank. I think the players ignore him. I don't think they listen. I don't think they're not having him at all. I don't think they've been having him from day one. And they basically speak between them and say, come on, boys, this is fucking pathetic. We need to pick this up. You know, even you never know. They might even just change the formation between them when they come out of the tunnel for the second half. I don't think Frank's got anything to do with it. You know, the problem is we're stuck with him for the rest of the season. He's the guy that picks the team. But, you know, today's got to be a lesson. If not to Thomas Frank, then to the players. Ignore this fucker. Go out there, play how you want to play on the front foot. Not all this fucking counter-attack bollocks and that. What's he going to do? Drop all of you? You know, go out there and play like you did in the second half. We'll pick up some points. We'll finish in the top half of the table and everything will be fine. We can get rid of him at the end of the season and get a proper manager in. Anyway, rant over. Hope you liked the video, guys. Hope to see you on the next one. Like, subscribe, all the usual bollocks. See you later.